Thank you, Mr. Suresh, Mr. Deepak Thakur, and Mr. Bridge. This is very exclusive session on hyperscale data center that we would like to have with a strong input of sustainability. So I hope already you have seen the title of this presentation, this session, scale sustainability and scalability in hyperscale data center. I don't know whether you have attended all the sessions or not, but hyperscale is talking many times all throughout 3 days in the past, and we had lot many discussions today in some of the sessions previous about hyperscale data center, how it is going to make the future of India with regard to digital India also. So we are really honored to have all of you here, and our special thanks goes to Mr. Suresh CtrlS for continuous support to Data Center Summit. Last year you had participated, you had presented, and this time I have seen your slide personally. It's a great presentation to introduce the sustainability in hyperscale data center. Similarly, we have Mr. Deepak Thakur constantly providing support to IGBC Data Center Summit. Sir, it's a real pleasure for us to have you, to have support from Delta Power. It is not possible without your support to run this kind of like large size programs. So first of all, I would like to introduce Mr. Suresh Rathod. Suresh Rathod is President Sales Collocation Business at CtrlS. He has more than 25 years of rich experience in enterprise sales, pre-sales, customer operations, several responsibilities he has, and he has some leading multiple cross-functional teams, and he is extremely doing well because we have seen lot many things from Mr. Rathod. He has been instrumental in forging very large and strategic deals with Indian and multinational customers for CtrlS. So in a way, he delights all the customers with regard to data center services. With a bachelor degree in engineering from Mumbai University and MBA from Symbiosis Pune, Suresh has worked at and contributed immensely to the growth of the organization. So over to you, Mr. Suresh. We are really very happy to have you for this particular presentation, having more and more discussion about sustainability in hyperscale data centers. So over to you.
Thank you, Shivraj, for introducing me, and good evening, all the audience. I'm going to bring some very important aspect of hyperscale data center. Some of these aspects you may already know, you may get refreshed. Some of them could be a newer one for you. Before I do that, I would like to introduce, I joined CtrlS in 2011, spent close to 10 years, more than 10 years. When I joined CtrlS data center, Indian data center market itself was a tiny market. When we launched our first facility in Mumbai, which is 5,000 racks, it was like competition came and said, oh, why when all of us are building 500, 600 racks facility, why are you building a 5,000 rack capacity? Now, obviously, we had no answer, and we just laughed at it. Okay, fine. We did have our share of struggle for initial 2-3 years, but later on, obviously, the business picked up, and now I think most of the player in this business wants to build only and only hyperscale data center. Gone are the days when people would have built 500 racks, etc. Now nobody wants to build below 50 megawatt. Now that's the scale, and that's the scale has come because the country has that kind of a potential. If I want to give you a perspective, US alone has a 2 billion square feet of data center, and in India, cumulatively across all the service provider, we have just reached 80 million square feet. Now that's 7 to 8 million square feet. Now that's the gap, and we are the third largest cell phone user in the world. Now the second largest. Data proliferation is highest in the country. Data usage 15 GB per user is the highest. Now all those things is obviously driving enormous growth in data center industry, but at the same time we have to be very responsible, because we are going to consume a huge amount of natural resources. How responsible we could be, and I'm going to, and my entire presentation today is about how we have to be more and more responsible company. Just give me a moment. Yeah, so what are the strategic intervention CtrlS has done in the past, and what we are going to do in the future is what I'm going to talk about in today's session. Now, any data center, and more so in hyperscale or a large data center, these are the six key criteria. These are the six key important decisions which every player will have to take. How much energy are you going to consume? How much of it are you going to source from a renewable sources? And in India, within every state has a different regulation. So you have to obviously read the local regulation, what is allowed, what is not allowed. What is the carbon footprint? Are you going to be net carbon neutral? Or if not net carbon neutral, what is the percentage of carbon neutrality you can contribute to the entire environment? How do you going to do a waste management, not only your own assets, but also assets of your customers, because IT assets will get obsolete in 5 to 6 years time. And in some cases, it may be 3 to 4 years time. Water is scarce in many part of the country, many cities, especially where the large hyperscaler data center are getting built, and how environmental friendly your design would be. I think these are the six key criteria around which I'm going to talk about today. Some of the facts I would like to bring, that energy consumption of data center is going to become very, very, very huge. In 2030, we expect that at least 10% of the world's electricity will be consumed by data center alone. Some of the countries where data center proliferation is much, much higher, like Singapore or Ireland, it could reach beyond 15 to 30%. And that's really very, very large. And that's a lot of responsibility comes on our shoulder. The World Bank data analysis, what they've done from 2015 to 2018, the entire data consumption grew by 800%. But the silver lining in this entire thing is that power consumption just grew by 16%. Now that's the huge silver lining about how the server technologies, storage technologies, the data power consumption, etc., has been evolved over years. Now, renewable energy today it's bad. It's just 20% contributes to renewable energy. All other 80% are coming from the other fossil fuels, etc. Now, these are some of the data points I'm putting in front of you. But the most important silver lining, and obviously this pandemic has accelerated that ICT usage of ICT has increased to the extent where I have not took an aircraft for now. This is my 17th month. March 16th 2020 was my last aircraft. After that, I have not taken a aircraft. So obviously the travel has reduced. Business has not stopped. All meetings are happening online today. Otherwise, we would have, if not for pandemic, we would have assembled in a sun conference room in some good hotel in a city. Now we are all doing it virtually, sitting in the comfort of our own homes. So we are this entire journey of the amount of data gets utilized more and more in data center. Entire consumption of electricity and power globally will reduce, be it travel, be it any other means. So testimonials for CtrlS strategic intervention for sustainable data centers. If you see, we are winner of Golden Peacock Innovation Award last year. TUV has certified us as a true waste certification. Winner of energy efficiency by CII for last 10 years, and zero downtime. Now, zero downtime, how it is contributing is also very important. Hundreds of data centers which were earlier working in those small, tiny data center or a server rooms in their organizations, machine room or a server room, they all now congregated because they have the confidence that, okay, fine, data center provider will give us a zero uptime, zero downtime. It will be 100% uptime. Their PUEs will be low. Their energy consumption will be low. It is better to move our data to these data centers rather than managing on own. So that's how the zero downtime also is helping industries to consolidate their small server room to a large hyperscale data center. CtrlS by Enterprise IT World, we have regarded as the best hyperscale data center award we got, most sustainable data center award, and obviously large enterprises in India, more particularly the BFSI, recognizes us as one of the dominant player. And obviously, if you read both these certificates from a enterprise IT world, they're all certifying us from a green perspective also. And why they are doing it, I'm going to elaborate more on it. These are some of the other certification which brings a lot of confidence in our clients. We are rated 4 certified, completely dual redundant system and subsystem. ISO 20001, ISO 27001, ISO 22301, SOC 1, SOC 2, PSI DSS, TUV, etc., etc. You know, these certification talks more about the way we operate the data center and the confidence it brings to our customers. Now, I'm going to talk more about Golden Peacock. Now, Golden Peacock is an award first time got by any data center operator in this country. Now, why it is important? Because it is not only energy management or efficiency in energy or a better PUE or the way you run the data center. This talks about 3 important things. Energy reduction and efficiency is one, toxicity reduction and sustainability. All 3 together, they are evaluating. Most of the time, before last year, the participants in these kind of awards were either large automobile companies or manufacturing companies or the companies who are generating more and more, waste, etc. Now, that's the first time the data center company they evaluated and they found that yes, that industry is also one of the potent where a lot of improvements in everything can be achieved. I'm going to put some of the large hyperscaler data centers for your reference on the screen. The extreme right, left one, we have a Mumbai data center. It's a data center 1, 3,500 racks already filled in. Mumbai data center 2, 2,000 racks, 24 megawatt. Now, if you see 3,500 racks earlier and then 20 megawatt, but the newer one got built with a much lesser rack capacity. Power density is increasing, 24 megawatt, hardly small amount of power is left. Hyderabad DC1, DC2, Noida DC1, Bangalore 12 megawatt kind of a facility. And here is real hyperscale. I'm pleased to present to you that in Mumbai, we have already launched a phase 1 of our large hyperscale campus of 300 megawatt. Now, this is not data center. These are data center parks with 8 to 9 data center planned in a city of Mumbai. First phase of it is already launched on 30th of June, which we call it as a DC3. Another phase, which is DC4, is going to get launched in October this year. We are not stopping here. Hyderabad, 200 megawatt, 15,000 racks capacity, a very large land footprint of more than 20 acres has already been purchased, and we are going to announce the launch of those data centers also very soon. Now, this apart, the inventory apart, what are the various green initiatives we are taking, which benefits not only our customers, CtrlS, but also the environment, and it helps our competition also to benchmark. Now, if you see the first data center in 2008, the design PUE is 1.8, and the last one, which we designed in 2019, is 1.32. Now, these are all designed PUEs. Obviously, the operation, the data centers are getting operated at slightly higher PUEs than the design one, because you don't get ideal IT load all the time. You know, you have to work with a disparate IT load from all the customers. Some will be from 4 megawatts to 30, from 4 kilowatt to 30 kilowatt. Another great initiative by CtrlS. Now, if you see the building 2, a taller building on the screen, which is called DC2. Now, DC2 is wrapped with a solar panel all around. Now, this brings a small amount of energy gets generated within the data center itself. I know in India, in a larger city like Mumbai, putting up a solar plant in the data center campus itself is almost impossible because of the very, very high land prices. But we attempted to create some energy, and this brings it is almost 1.3 megawatt installed capacity. 4,20,000 of units of power generated per year is the capacity. Obviously, there are a lot of advantages, but it brings the concept that you could do it in a limited manner in a bigger city, in metro cities as well. Some of the other green initiative is choosing each and every equipment in the data center so that it lowers the energy consumption, improves our PUE, and obviously contribute to betterment of this world. We have chiller plant manager and all chillers are managed with a chiller plant manager. It could be run separately as well, but CtrlS had taken a conscious decision right from the day one that each and every chiller in the data center will be run with a chiller plant manager. That brings more efficiency. A virtual frequency drive for all the HVAC equipment, variable cooling system. All the cooling towers are interfaced with the CTI, online monitoring and chemical dosing of every chiller. Now that avoids a lot of filtration itself. All UPS systems for mechanical load are on eco mode. Every power machine is HD dual cores automation. 100% lighting is on LED. Usage of motion sensors so that the LED light consumption is also on the lowest side, and BMS monitors the PUE. In fact, we have data center display in all our data center, which it is displaying the PUE live. Earlier, I remember in my earlier organizations, calculating the PUE itself was a task, and calculating a PUE was like a two-week process. Here, live it is displaying in all the data center. Visitors, whoever are visiting, can have a look at it live themselves. Reduce water consumption in Indian cities, especially cities like Mumbai or Bangalore or Chennai, is a major task. So we are doing stormwater harvesting, recycling of water at Bangalore, setting up a STP MTP recycling plant in Bangalore, collaboration with local communities in Mumbai, with local municipal corporation in Navi Mumbai. Adoption of water consumption reduction technology. Now this is obviously a low flow plumbing fixtures, usage of dual flush WCs and waterless urinals. Entire site needs to be managed in such a way that your site doesn't get heated up. How can you protect from external heat coming into the data center, whether it's from a sunlight or anything? So we do a high SRA roof and non-roof. All adoption of greenery. Now, if you see picture of all our data center, every data center consisting of a huge green belt within the limited space, whatever we could have. Waste performance is one of the important criteria we have. Now, these are some of the small steps. Our larger footprint is, can we remove a complete DG set from the data center and run only the gas turbines? Now, these are the long-term plans, and we'll see how these technologies also evolve and we are able to adopt it. See, data center major challenge is we can't do a experiment of a newer technology within the data center because data centers are very, very critical, mission critical. 100% uptime needs to be achieved. So once the technology stabilizes, obviously we will utilize them to reduce. But however, replacement of DG lube oil instead of a time-bound replacement, earlier like 3 months, 6 months you replace it. Now here we do actual parameter testing online and are able to do some checking as to whether they are really up for change or it can sustain for more, and which has led to a 50% reduction. 100% recycling of hazardous waste through authorized recycler. 100% recycling of all the batteries. Deployment of organic waste converters, composter to recycle solid waste. Nutshell, CTRLS is building a robust, resilient, sustainable and smart data center in India, which are zero human intervention data center. Now, zero human data center philosophy, which CtrlS adopted in 2016-17, has helped us immensely in the pandemic situation where we had a lot of issues sending people to data centers. People who were operating in data centers, they had to stay back into data centers. Now, all these issues, to some extent, were avoided with zero intervention, human intervention data center. We are using AI-driven variable cooling plant. RPA, robotic process automation, drives operational efficiencies. IoT sensors, machine learning, other technologies which are used heavily in all our data centers, which enable our data center from a hyperscale to also smart data centers. Now, all these endeavors has led to a good results, and obviously what matters is the outcome, the results, what you achieve. 11,000 tons of carbon dioxide, CO2 reduced emission in last year, 2021. More than 77,000 kgs of battery waste and 2.35 tons of e-waste disposed in an environmental friendly manner in last 3 years. More than 21,000 hours of employee training towards sustainability. And that's more important. All your employees needs to be sensitive towards each and every parameter of what they're working on. ISO 27001, 100% supplier have to comply to this code. Anybody who wishes to supply to CtrlS. Now, CtrlS building this 300 megawatt data center in Mumbai and a 200 megawatt data center in Hyderabad. We are also announcing our Chennai data center launch very soon. All will be sustainable, will stand for long term. Our rated 4 helps us to build a data center which sustain for a much longer period than those traditional data center which has a life of not more than 20 years. Now that's all I have on this session today. Happy to remain present for any question answers from any of the audience. Shivraj, if you have any of this session, happy to answer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Suresh. It was fantastic presentation, and we would like to understand more about what is called Control Z.
See, Control Z means zero. We see as if you see our name Control S. Many times we were asked a question, why name Control S? Now, Control S means Control S. In our earlier days, we used to put Control and S to save the data. So Control S mission is to save the data of this knowledge economy. Now that's Control S name. Now Control Z, it means we want to use zero. We want to use 100% renewable energy. We want to use zero normal energy from any sources. We want to do a zero waste, like this. The concept what we are trying to develop.
Right. And what is your thought process on having the reduction in water using local municipal corporations wastewater? Actually, IGBC recently developed one framework called Net Zero Water Framework, and there we have given ample focus on that. How a municipal corporation can have some agreement with some of the bigger consumers to treat the water and use this water for their facilities.
As a CtrlS, we have a target of net zero neutrality by 2030. Now our technical and operational teams are evaluating all the technologies whichever are available and trying to adopt which works best in a given framework. So we are open. I'm sure in case you have developed anything, we will be happy to look at it and try to implement it as well.
Yeah, so definitely we'll connect offline next week, and we'll explore how we can put this kind of framework in your data centers.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you very much for showcasing all the brilliant ideas about hyperscale and sustainability in data centers. I think you have created path for many data centers to put dynamic facade. We have seen some of your data centers where you have installed IBPVs, like integrated building photovoltaic system that generates a lot of energy. It is not implemented in any of the data center in the country. So great for this kind of new learning for the industry. And thank you very much for your continuous support to Data Center Summit and IGBC.